Okay, so welcome to Satsang. As you know, if you have any questions, you are welcome to pose them by speaking them or by writing them in the chat box. So, as you know, Satsang is a contemplation of the self. It is not thinking about your problem or your life or about the truth, but it is contemplation of the truth, contemplating your problems, contemplating your thoughts, contemplating your experience. Contemplation is a sort of hanging in the stillness, sort of being still with what is arising and inviting whatever is arising to reveal its source, its reality, its truth, and rather than thinking about it, about things. So I titled this meeting Freedom from the Past, Freedom from your conditions, freedom from your past tendencies. And in a way, it is not possible to be free from a belief until it's seen that it is a belief. Until then, you still will experience the effects of the belief that you have. So if you believe the earth is flat, you will experience this belief, whichever way it experiences itself, as an image, as a thought. And until you've seen that this belief is a belief, it's not true, it's not based on reality, it's not based on truth, you will continue to experience that belief. And in the non-dual teaching, the main belief that we look at is the belief that I am a separate person, a separate manifestation, that what I am is a separate being, that I am a person, a woman, a man that is born in time and space, and that is living under the conditions of time and space. And this belief is shared, is held by majority, if not all, of the human tribe. And so it is reinforced via the shared And so when you put on that set of beliefs, when you are adopting this belief, your experience will be that of a separate person. You will experience that you are the body, that you are inside the body, or you are the body, and that there is another reality or other realities outside of you. And what accompanies that is a preoccupation. I remember when I was a young boy, when this body was much younger, there was the strong identity as a son, and I remember experiencing like I needed to do something for my mother. I experienced that I was this responsible. I had to be responsible and help her or save her. It was very heavy, and I wouldn't say it was joyful. And I don't mean that it was a bad thing. It's just, it was maybe the karmic path, But there was a strong identity. And of course, this identity, we live as under its influence. But from the point of view of consciousness, and by consciousness, I mean the transparency of being, the reality of being, there is no identity. There isn't a past. There isn't a story. There isn't a continuity of a person that is improving or that is trying hard. All of that does not apply to consciousness. From consciousness perspective, time is eternity, meaning consciousness does not exist in time. It is the eternity. You could say eternity has no beginning and no ending. So it's as if the whole impression of time, past and future, is not existent. Or one could say that all the past and all the futures, all the pasts, pasts, and all the futures are collapsed in the eternity of consciousness. While for the mind, time is chronological, it's linear, and I exist in time, moving from one moment to another moment. From consciousness perspective, it is a circle with an infinite radius and no center. Or you could say it's a linear, not a horizontal, it's a vertical time. Vertical time referring to, it doesn't move to in 1 second into the past or 1 second into the future. It is just the eternity of consciousness. And what's really very lovely about consciousness is that there is order. There is order because there are no objects. In a way, it's a contradictory because order refers to objects, but it's an absolute order where all is unfolding just as it should. For the mind, it's very difficult to accept that because the mind operates in preferences. I prefer that it would not be rainy today. So from the perspective of the personal character, it is always a preference, desiring and resisting. While from consciousness perspective, it is completely oblivious to that realm of preferences, of desires. Now, you could say, well, I am attracted to more, I have a sweet tendency and I don't care too much for bitter, or I'm more attracted towards the gray color and not so much towards blue, for example. That could be, there could be, you may be more drawn towards music and less towards painting. But these are characteristics that belong to the body-mind. Some body-minds are very academic. Others are very scientific. Some are philosophical. Some are poetic. These are, you could say, like preferences at the body-mind level. But the preferences that apply to the body-mind level do not apply to consciousness. Because the body-mind is in the realm, in the phenomenal realm. What you truly are, meaning consciousness, is a noumenal realm, is non-phenomenal. So if the body prefers something, consciousness has no preferences. And when you contemplate what your true nature is, and you come to the freedom from your belief that you are mortal, body-mind, you become free of the unhappiness that are attached to your preferences. You do not become free of your preferences, because the body still has those, but the unhappiness that is connected with the preferences. Because the unhappiness that comes with the preferences is the result of being identified with the preference, being identified with the body, and therefore indirectly being identified with the preference. And so when the body does not have an expression for what it prefers, it feels as if it is happening to you because of your identification. And therefore you experience unhappiness. In the contemplation of your true nature, you come to the freedom, the innate and absolute freedom of the self, the absolute freedom of consciousness. And therefore you become free of the unhappiness, because absolute freedom is absolute happiness. There is a tendency as a personal self to take everything that is arising for you as rather than perceiving it as mind event, you perceive it as consciousness event. In other words, there is a tendency to perceive whatever is arising as being personal, that it pertains to your person. And when you're perceiving your life as personal, you're constantly introducing into your life your conditions. Meaning you are introducing in your life the past. Because in the present moment there are no conditions. For conditions, you need time. You need to bring in the past, and you need to bring in the future. And that's what the condition is. A sort of a thought stream that has a past and a future in it, which are images. And this is what conditions are, they're images. And when you bring in those images, which are ideas and beliefs, then you have an argument with the current situation. Because the images that you're bringing in, they have nothing to do with the current situation. And then you have a conflict between what is happening and your ideas about what is happening. Your ideas are always different from what is happening. Even your beautiful ideas, they're different from what is happening. Because what is happening is not in the realm of ideas. It is in the realm of consciousness. But via your thinking, you sort of translate consciousness into thoughts. You dress up consciousness into the thoughts that please you, or the thoughts that arise for you. You impose these thoughts onto consciousness. So you imagine consciousness as something happening. while consciousness is a non-happening. So you imagine yourself as happening in time and space, but you're not happening. What you truly are, your true self, is not happening. But in your life, you will find, oh my God, there are all these things happening. Unhappy things, miserable things, sometimes happy things. Always experiencing the happening. If you're experiencing the past and your future ideas and thoughts. So all your happening is a movement of thought, while in fact there is nothing happening, just consciousness being. You could say that consciousness is the ultimate happening, but there is no other happening but consciousness. And if there is only one happening, then it's an absolute happening. And happening refers to a non-happening. So in an absolute sense, there is no such thing as happening and non-happening. It's just consciousness, beingness. So how do you go from your experience of all sorts of things happening, all of sort of things coming at you, to the peace and the stillness of consciousness? You cannot go to it if you are not it. Whatever you are going to, you're going to the peace, or you're aspiring for the peace, and you may get it if you have good karma. That means you will get the peace later. If you live a good life, if you chant the right chants, if you're a good person, you will attain nirvana. But that means you will attain nirvana later. But we know there is no later, right? In fact, the reality is never in time. You never experience a later. Your experience is never later. It's never not now. So later is a concept, is a time delay, it's a postponement of, it's an imagined, you imagine something that you need to do in order to reach nirvana. But you will never reach nirvana later. You only awaken by realizing that you are already awake in this very moment right now. So the way to get there, to get from all these things happening in your life to the peace, you need to realize the peace that is right now. But then you say, well, how can I realize the peace that is right now in the middle of all these things that are coming at me? Work, relationships, neighbors, my body, my mind. Well, you look at the sky. There are clouds, there are birds, but the sky still is, irrespective of there being clouds. The sky is not clouded by the clouds. The sky is. The sun is not obstructed. The sun shines. So it is possible for you, irrespective of what is arising, to turn your attention in this very moment to the transparency of being by asking yourself, what am I truly? Not what is happening to me, not oh my God, am I going to be able to solve this problem? But you can ask yourself the question in this very moment, what am I truly? What is the reality of my experience? You see? You can always ask this question, what am I truly? But you don't think about it. You cannot think about it. Because thinking about it is going into the past or into the future. Instead of thinking about it, you just stay still. You stay silent and still and allow the question to echo in your space, in the entire space. I am aware. There is awareness, undeniable. Being, undeniable. We don't need to think about it because then thought will go into all sorts of philosophies. We go directly to I am aware and I am. Being, awareness. But the I, what is the I? What is the I when I say I am aware? What is the I? Is the I 5'5" tall, 5'7" tall? Is the I a male I, female I? The I that is aware. Directly in your experience in this very moment, I am aware. When you say I am aware, doesn't I refers to no form? No, there's nothing that you can put your finger on and say, oh, that's I. I is the invisible self, borderless self. There are no borders around it, no beginning, no end, no gender. So you say, I am aware. That's undeniable. I am aware. This I is the transparency of being. The I is borderless presence. It's very different from the concept, an image. Because the image or the concept appears to I. I is not a concept. A thought, a perception appears to I awareness. But the I that is awareness is not a concept, because a concept cannot perceive. The concept is perceived, so that perceives is not a concept. And if it's not a concept, then it's not an object, because objects do not perceive. An object that cannot perceive. Only awareness perceives. Only knowingness perceives. Only consciousness perceives. Only presence. You see? In ignorance, we believe that an object can perceive. We say, oh, the cat is looking. The cat is looking at the bird. That's just a mind expression. The fact there is no cat. The cat is a concept. It's okay. The concept is okay to say cat, mouse, a rabbit. But the cat does not look at the bird, does not see. What sees, what perceives is consciousness. You could say that, okay, consciousness perceives the mouse via the cat's eyes. Or consciousness perceives this room via this body-mind's eyes. Like the astronomer perceives the galaxies using the telescope. It's not the telescope that perceives, it is the astronomer that perceives. Consciousness is the perceiver in chief. The I, the reality that perceives, is consciousness. But then you can ask yourself, well, what am I perceiving? Am I perceiving a world out there? There's no doubt that I am, and I'm aware, and that's a reality. There is a reality to the I awareness. And if I'm perceiving a world out there, then there is a reality out there besides my reality. So we have a problem now of two realities. Which is more real, reality A or reality B? And how can there be two realities? So what is it you're perceiving? Because you're perceiving, right? What is it you're perceiving? When you say I'm perceiving the chair, I'm perceiving the lake, I'm perceiving the tree. But what if you don't use these concepts? What if you don't use the words tree, chair, lake? What if you're perceiving from your absolute silence, the absolute silence of the mind? Because there is such a thing as an absolute silence of the mind. What is it to perceive as the absolute silent mind? Not a thought, not a name, not a word, not a label is arising. No past, no future. No me, no you, no cat, no Magdi, no body. It's pure being. There are no words for it, right? Because as soon as there is a word, then there is mind. But the word is okay. There's no problem with the word. But the question is, what is it to perceive without the word? You see? This whole contemplation is fascinating because it's a journey from being a mortal being to being the self-eternal, to being God's consciousness, to being God's grace, which is amazing. It's the process, a journey of dematerialization. Dematerialization, deprogramming. There's also there are all sorts of programs operating. Thoughts, beliefs, images, ideas. To deprogram the machine. To come to the transparency of being, the nakedness of being, the freshness of being, that is not in time and space, no time, no space. Because peace is not peace in time. Because if peace is in time, then it's bound by when the peace began and when the peace may end. What's really beautiful about peace and love and beauty and freedom is because they represent consciousness. They express consciousness. They're aspects, they're glitters, they're facets of consciousness. Love has no beginning and no end. Freedom. wisdom, truth. It's not relative, it's absolute. And you are the absolute self. You, I is absolute. Not I, a body mind, not I, tall or short. The true I, the real I, awakening to the self. Well, I've been patient listening to this. So if you have any questions or anything you would like to explore, we can take this time together. To look at whatever questions you may have.
Magdi?
Yes, hello Esther.
Hello. As you were sharing, I was aware of the element of trust and the meaning of trust. It's like when I turn and ask and inquire, there is a point, it's like turning from that steady stream of happenings and thought and all that presents. It's like turning from that to the reality, the truth, and the experience of that. And it's almost like in that turning, in that inquiring, it's like I experience the personal I is saying things like, "You've got to be kidding. You're going to lay this all aside." You know, it's just amazing how it almost presents an argument and holds on to my clothes almost. So that's, to me, what trust means, is allowing that turning, and not in spite of, you know, everything, all the arguments and everything else. So maybe you could talk about trust a bit.
Well, yeah, I think you're saying it very beautifully. That you know, we have a certain inner inkling, an inner sense of the truth, because we are the truth, irrespective of all what you're sharing about the downloads and the me saying, "My goodness, you're gonna let go of me." And behind all these, it's a metaphor of all the clouds, there is a sun shining. It doesn't have, irrespective of how thick the cloud cover is, the sun is shining. You may look up and see black sky, black dark sky. In spite of you seeing a totally black dark sky, the sun is shining. The sun is ever shining. Now, we have an inkling of that. And a truth lover, let's say, is like closer to the edge. You say like there is like maybe the sphere or a mass of ignorance. And our interest when we're interested in truth, we're closer to the edge. Like it's as if like there is a very thick cloud cover, and we're sort of coming slightly out of at the edge of the cloud cover. There's still the cloud cover, but somehow we sense that there is something more than that, more than all these stories and pursuits and the ideas that come to us and our feelings and our concerns about our body, our money, our neighbor, our parents, our children, we sense that there is something more than that, that this whole existence is not just about this existence. There is, of course, this existence, but there is something magic. There is a magic. Now we are that magic. So in a way, the trust is rooted in our being the self. There is a reality that I am, and that I am consciousness. And then there is all the separate self stuff. But the separate self stuff, the thoughts and the feelings, they grab our attention. Our gaze turns towards the world, towards the body mind. But it's still, you can ask yourself, whose gaze is it? What is behind all this, all this phenomenal realm? There is still the self. Although the self is being appropriated by the character. Okay, the self is no longer the self. Now it's me, this beautiful man, this lady, this person, this child, whatever. Even though the self, which is a formless self, has been appropriated by a form, it's still the formless self. Even though the impression is the impression of separation, because I'm wearing pink glasses, I'm perceiving everything in pink. Still, the world is not pink. Reality is not pink. Reality is still there, although I am perceiving it completely differently. Yeah, speaking metaphorically. So, just want to make a point that the trust is not a blind trust. It's a trust that has very strong factuality to it, which is the fact of being. Because to be a man or a woman, to be a person, first there is being. And then you dress it up, man, woman, blah, 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 blah. But being is there. So there is a factuality of consciousness, the reality of consciousness. And from the personal self perspective, is a hypnotic realm. It's as if being addicted to an addiction to our thoughts and feelings, an addiction to our thinking. We need to think we need to think about things, keep thinking and feeling, and then the feelings triggers more thoughts, and it's just, it becomes more and more massive, more and more intricate, and then it becomes like a habitual. It's like a sort of a ritual. We wake up in the morning, we start thinking, even in our sleep, we're thinking about me and this and that, and that's the perspective of the separate self. And so the separate self maintains itself as feelings and thoughts, but it's unhappy. It's complicated and complex and repetitive, stale. It's always judging and comparing and blaming oneself, blaming others, hoping for a better tomorrow, and keep projection of image after image, with the hope that some of these images will save us. We feel good because then we have this image. Oh, wow, it's great. But it's not great. It's not delivering the goods. It's still maintaining the me in time. And the separate self is an ongoing pattern of of thoughts, resisting and seeking. And so, yes, it will say, what are you, you're going to give all this up, all this, you know, your life, your home, your goodies, your God knows, whatever it is that the mind is going to, thoughts, you're going to give all this up for what? To awaken to the truth? What sort of joke is that? You're going to give up living in Hawaii to, I don't know, just, no, don't give it up. You got it good. This is how the personal self operates. It's just always looking out. And of course, it's luring itself. It's fooling itself because it's not happy with the beautiful view of the ocean in Hawaii. It's not happy because happiness is not about the beautiful view of the ocean in Hawaii or about a good bank account or about having a great partner. It's not about that. It is completely not about that. It is about the freedom of the self, awakening to the freedom of the self. And that doesn't have, you know, anything to do with the view or your dream. Absolutely not. And we know that. But then the personal self will say, well, you know what? It's going to get better because the tourist season is going to be over and all the tourists will be gone soon and you'll have this whole view just for yourself. See, so just be patient and you'll be happy in September. It's a trickster. And when we are contemplating, when we are at truth level, we start to see through this emptiness. And it's not where we want to bank. That's not where we want to how we want to live, the direction that we want to entertain. So trust is trusting truth, is trusting the self, is trusting consciousness. Is the trusting. If you want to trust somebody, wouldn't you rather trust? Would you want to trust a liar or you want to trust somebody who's honest? Of course, you want to trust somebody who's honest. You want to trust somebody who is sincere or somebody who one day says this, next day says that. You want to trust somebody who is sincere. So you put your trust in the qualities that are the high qualities. Would you want to trust somebody who is talking to you about freedom and happiness, and they're not free and happy themselves? No, you would rather put your trust in somebody who is happy, who is free. You see, they are the qualities of the absolute qualities are the qualities that we trust. And the mind does not have these absolute qualities. The mind is always in the realm of opposites, good and bad. Yes, yes, I want this. I should have that. No, I don't want this. So you cannot put your trust in the mind because the mind is so shifty. One day it loves you, next day it doesn't. One day it loves the neighbor, next day it doesn't like the neighbor. One day it feels happy about the weather, next day it hates the weather. It's so crazy. So yes, the trust we don't put in the mind. The trust is connected to the heart. It's connected to God. We trust God. We trust goodness. We trust truth. We trust love. We trust beauty. We trust happiness. We trust truth, reality. So you ask yourself, what is it that is real in my experience? Because to think about something that is real is just thoughts and images. But what is the fact? Reality has to be a fact. Truth has to be a fact. So I ask myself, what is truth right now? What is the fact of truth right now? What is the fact of freedom right now? What is the fact of love and beauty right now? It cannot be made out of thoughts. Because thoughts are like clouds. There has to be a fact that is not thought, that is not mind. What is the fact that is not thought and not mind? In this very moment, that you can trust. And when you take your trust and you put it into the world, in body, mind, you are banking in the wrong institution.
Andy?
Yes. Hello, Laina.
How do you stay in that awareness?
How do you stay in that awareness? Yes?
It would be the mind that would keep forcing you to get there, so then you have duality again.
I didn't hear you very well, Laina, but I heard how do you stay in that awareness? Yes?
Yes, because if you're getting to that awareness by the mind,
Yes.
then that's duality. You're
Yes.
still in the mind circle. How do you get and stay in consciousness, in awareness,
Yes.
without using the mind?
Right. So listen to your question, Laina, yes? So how do you stay in that awareness without using the mind? Now, you're already, in your question, you're already using the mind. Because if you ask yourself, what is it that would stay in this awareness? Now, I can take an apple and put it in the refrigerator. Okay, I have the apple, I have the refrigerator. I open the refrigerator door, I put the apple on the shelf in the refrigerator, I close the refrigerator door, and I can say the apple is in the refrigerator, and the way I can keep the apple in the refrigerator is by not taking the apple out of the refrigerator, yes?
Okay.
Okay, but I have an apple and I have a refrigerator, yes? So here you have consciousness and I. How do I stay in awareness or consciousness? You know, I use those terms interchangeably. How do I stay in awareness without coming out of awareness? So I need to open awareness, take the I, put it on the shelf inside awareness, close the door of awareness, and make sure I don't open the door of awareness and take the I off the shelf. This is way I have guaranteed that the I stays in awareness.
Okay.
Now, I ask you the question, who is doing that? Who or what is asking this question? How many eyes, how many I are there?
There's only one eye.
One I. There is only one I. And how many awarenesses are there?
There's only one awareness.
And is I aware or not aware?
I just is.
I is. But I knows that I am.
So that would be awareness.
So I know I am. So there is awareness.
Yes.
So there is only one I, and there is only one awareness, and I am aware, yes?
Yes.
Now ask yourself, what is it within this I, let's say, using the term within, what is it within this I that is aware?
Consciousness.
Huh?
Consciousness. If there's anything within the I, it has to be consciousness.
Yes. Meaning I, awareness, is aware. It is awareness or consciousness. We use the term interchangeably. I, awareness, is aware. So it is awareness that is aware that I am. Right?
Yes.
And the I and the awareness, are they two?
No.
So I am awareness, aware that I am, and aware that I am aware. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
Okay, so if I am awareness, then the question, how do I stay in awareness, makes no sense.
Question. Yeah, I see that. I see that. I see that.
So there is a flaw in the question. It sounds like a question, but it's not really a question.
Yeah.
It's a separate self trick.
Yeah.
Because there is really no question. It sounds like a question. This is what the separate self does. It says, I have a question, and I'm not, to itself.
Yeah.
I have a question. How do I stay in awareness?
Because it's trying to stay alive.
Yeah. And then I just, 5 years later, I have this question. How do I stay in awareness? I remember in 1967, 82, I was in awareness for 6 months, blah, blah, blah. And 20 years later, I still have the same question, because there is really no question.
Exactly.
It is not a real question. What I refers to is awareness. When you look directly, not thinking about it, in this very moment, the reality that perceives, that hears, is what we call awareness. And isn't it you that is perceiving right now? Isn't it I, this I that is perceiving right now?
Yes.
Effortlessly, right? It's that is the reality of consciousness. It's not a concept, it's not an idea. The reality that perceives, the reality that is, and it knows that it is.
The other is just the mind. The other is just the mind.
It's a concept, concept. Concept. So the reality that experiences that is, and that knows that I am. I know I am. And I know I am aware. That is not a concept. That's a reality. And we call it I, you can call it Atman, you can call it Brahman, you can call it God consciousness, whatever. It doesn't matter, I call it so many times in satsang. It doesn't matter. It's not the point. It's not the point of how you call it. It doesn't matter you call it. You can call it cat if you want. It doesn't matter. What matters is to understand that you are this reality, that I is real, but it's not a male reality or a female reality. It is not a tall reality or a short reality. It's not a 60-year-old or a 70-year-old or a 40-year-old reality. The reality has no age. And this I, the reality that perceives right now, has no age and is real. You cannot deny it. That's beautiful. It's undeniable. Can you deny the I right now? Absolutely not, yes?
Yes.
You cannot deny I.
It's like it's right there in front of us. It is all that it is.
Yes, it is.
It has to make up some story.
Yes.
That takes you further away from it.
Yes, yes, yes. This is how the separate self, operates. Says, oh, I know I am, and I know I am real, and I know that I'm aware. But I have a question. How do I know that I will be aware tomorrow? I have a question. How will I know that tomorrow at 4:30, I will be aware that I know blah 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 blah. It's just it's self-hypnosis, self-hypnosis, self-delusion. You see, but you cannot delude consciousness. Once you become clear about what you are, you see these patterns. You can see them. And you sort of giggle. You say, "Okay, there we go again." Yeah, nice try, buddy. Nice try, buddy. Come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow.
Yeah. I see that.
Yes.
Very clear.
So, any questions, anyone? Okay, well, before we say goodbye, I just want to remind people that there is a retreat in Costa Rica in June 16 to the 19th, something like that, June 16. So, and yeah, spaces are available. So people who are interested, you can join the retreat. Well,
are you having having satsang on Saturday?
No, I am not. But I will be announcing when we will be having next satsang.
I'll tell Jack.
Okay. Yes. Please give Jack my love, and my love to all of you.